Welcome to the Pit Check, your weekly news for the best and heaviest new albums from your favorite extreme metal and hardcore bands. Get your top 8 ready and poke your friends on Facebook. We're going back to the era of snake bites, huge gauges, and Myspace scene queens. Whether it's death metal, deathcore, metalcore, hardcore, or slam, the mid-2000s influence is back with a vengeance this week. So make sure to subscribe to the channel because we do this every week, and let's get right into this week's best new albums. Boise, Idaho hardcore is insane. The straight edge hardcore band Witness Chamber has released their debut album titled Bronze Gates. If you want a boatload of relentlessly heavy metallic hardcore hit by a dump truck of beatdown hardcore, you need to check this album out ASAP. The way Witness Chamber is able to capture this sinister atmosphere is unrivaled. This overwhelming bass tone and these absurdly vicious riffs make you feel like there's an ass-kicking just lurking around the corner, and then there is one. Having less than 10k Spotify listeners is criminal. This is just the latest in a line of absolute ass blasters from this band. Once you finish this album, and it'll only take like 16 minutes, please go listen to their previous EPs. This band is massively underrated. Tex-Mex Cartelcore. The Texas-based metalcore band Upon a Burning Body are celebrating their 20th year as a band with this new album, Blood of the Bull. If you love those late 2000s and 2010s metalcore vibes, especially with the guitar work, you're going to be pleasantly surprised here. We've got plenty of classic riffs and open chug patterns and 16th note breakdowns, and really impressive vocals from both the harsh and clean side of things. If you've ever been a fan of this band or enjoyed any of their music over the last 2 decades, this album is definitely worth at least checking out. It doesn't necessarily break the mold, but this is a great encapsulation of their sound, and it reminds you why they've been able to maintain relevance for so long. I also appreciate the diversity of this album. There's obviously their classic sound, which is really riffy and guitar focused, but we've also got some influences here from some industrial and nu metal, and even some electronics and some octane core, but it usually doesn't take them in a kind of generic direction, and instead infuses those elements into their already established spicy Tex-Mex metalcore. Myspace deathcore will never get old. The Throwback slam and deathcore band HxC have released their latest EP, It's All About Murder, and that's also the title. This is for lovers of that more raw and gritty 2000s Myspace deathcore and slam sound. Unbelievably low-tuned guitars ripping open chuggy breakdowns, bass drops, demon vocals, and of course, this is their second EP in under a year, and not only do both of these melt faces, this is proof that the first one wasn't just a fluke. HxC clearly have a firm grasp on what made that early deathcore so good, but without sounding like another generic revival core band. This band gets it without trying to just replicate it. They understand the why and the how. 2000s Norwegian death metal. Need I say more? The most pure death metal band in Norway, I don't like that phrasing, Blood Red Throne has released their 12th studio album titled Siltskin. This is a fantastic album for lovers of that more punishing and brutal death metal sound. Fans of bands like Cryptopsy and Suffocation are gonna love this one. After 12 albums, you'd think this band would kind of lose some steam or become like a flanderized version of themselves, but that is absolutely not the case here, with the band themselves saying, quote, "We've never been this satisfied and excited about a Blood Red Throne album before. It's heavier, faster, more melodic and powerful than ever, and most importantly, an overall distinct BRT sound to it." I genuinely can't get over how creative this album is. It's so groovy and technical and progressive, but it's also so dark and nasty and hard-hitting. Every single instrument is both showing off and ripping off your face, and this vocalist is eating it. Honestly, this is a last-minute album of the year contender for slam and brutal death metal lovers. Every Time I Die left some pretty big shoes to fill. The Undertaking is a San Diego-based, chaotic rock with a can-do attitude band, and they've released their latest EP, Only Left Alive to See the End. And the Every Time I Die comparison is pretty surface level. This is so much more than some lazy attempt to just recreate the Every Time I Die sound. This EP is incredibly well written and captures such a dark and melancholic sound, and even adds in some like down-tempo sludgy and doom influence. As expected, this is chock full of those deep-fried southern riffs, with some mathy chaos and even some metalcore and melodic hardcore elements. And not to mention these wildly progressive and atypical song structures. My only real complaint here is that it's an EP and not a full-length album. This is definitely a band you're gonna want to keep your eyes on.
You know what they say, the early bird catches the worm.
The Danish brutal death metal and slam band Guttural Slug have released their latest EP, Ulcers in the Flesh of Thought. If you're into bands like Devourment, Bloodbath, Organectomy, or Analepsy, this album should be right up your alley. And this is a new era for Guttural Slug, with this being their first release as a full band instead of just an online one. Guitarist and songwriter Mikkel Sorensen has been spearheading this band since 2012, and I kid you not, he was only 15 years old when they released the now iconic album Megalodon. And I love that he still keeps a bit of that DIY bedroom spirit alive with this band, even though this is clearly their most mature and well-written work to date. This EP is just an ass beater. There is so much skull-crushing madness, whether it's these ungodly heavy riffs and slams, these froggy yet brutal vocals, or this drummer who is just constantly pummeling you like a Terminator with a speed bag. And honestly, I'm pretty excited to hear more from this new era of the Guttural Slug saga. Early 2000s Myspace metalcore was one of a kind. Till Death Do Us Part, don't you dare use any spaces, has released their latest EP, The Burden of Eternity. If you love those early 2000s metalcore and deathcore bands, maybe bands like As Blood Runs Black, The Crimson Armada, or even early Bring Me the Horizon, you're gonna love this. This has all those classic hallmarks, the Myspace metalcore riffs, the non-stop guitar work, the bass drops, and that small echoey drum room sound with a high cranked snare drum. This has all that messy chaos and texture that you kinda lose with more modern metalcore production, and knows how to utilize that chaos perfectly. I always appreciate when a band can sound nostalgic without pandering. This one might be band name of the year. The Cybergrind band Bottom Surgery has released their latest EP titled Cold Summer. Is overstimulation core a genre? If you listen to those early electronic Myspace grindcore bands, you know, those bands that love suplexing like 16 different genres together while using a dial-up modem, you're gonna love this. This is a two-person project led by vocalist and multi-instrumentalist Alice Smith and fellow guitarist and vocalist Stefan Iglesias. And let me tell you, these two have been unsung heroes this year, both being in and or contributing to the bands Coma Witch and A Year in Black and White, who have both released unbelievably good music lately.
What are you doing eating sushi?
I actually didn't get a chance to cover the A Year in Black and White EP from a couple weeks ago, so just very quickly, if you love that rough and gritty Myspace deathcore sound that is equal parts chaotic and heavy as nuts with like 5 different vocalists, check out their latest EP, Purgatory, ASAP. Both of these bands make a great double feature. And I announced it before, but this is the last weekly roundup for 2025. Hopefully starting next week, we'll be doing the full year-end roundups of the best albums of the year. It should be the best metalcore albums. I think that'll come out next week. And then we'll have, you know, deathcore, death metal, hardcore, etc. And then we'll be back for the weeklies in mid-January. So thank you everyone who's been with me on this journey. And in just a couple weeks, we'll be celebrating 1 year of Pit Check. So thanks, guys. Also, make sure you check out Bazooka Tooth. This is such a sick band, but this EP was only 2 songs long, so I didn't feel like I could cover it here, but like, definitely check it out. Enthroned is some sick Belgian black metal. Definitely check this out if you want some more hard-hitting black metal. Kakihara, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, is some really fun chaotic hardcore. Yosemite in Black is also some kind of chaotic hardcore, but with some thrash influence, kind of Cold Steel vibes. And then Rotting in the Chapel has some really cool old school death metal sound with some more like DIY bedroom influences. And there's honestly so much more on here, so definitely give some of these bands a shot, as well as the ones that we covered today. And as always, if you have a band or your friend has a band with an album coming out soon, feel free to shoot me a DM, or obviously, you know, post it in the comments below. Share it with the class. Thank you again for being with me throughout these episodes, and I'll catch you next week for the best metalcore albums of 2025.